Adam Crown. He's an executive vice president at CPM Group. It's a commodities market research, consulting, asset management, and investment banking firm. And he's here now to talk more about what may happen with silver. So first of all, let's talk about what has driven silver to this point. When you look at many of the commodities markets, obviously folks are talking about a lot of speculation here, a lot linked to the dollar. So talk to us about, in silver specifically, how that plays out between supply and demand on the one hand and these other factors on the other.
Sure. Thanks, Julie, for having me. Thank you, Mark. And as well, like you said, there's been actually a lot of investment demand trends that have been the key driving factor in silver price. And it actually has the unique capability of actually straddling both a financial asset as well as an industrial asset. So it's been able to have the good fortune to rise in the face of both economic concerns, a hedge against inflation, as well as a look around the corner for industrial growth.
Why is it done even better than gold in terms of percentage gains for the year?
Well, it has been a very volatile metal, and it actually is a much tighter market than you see in the gold market. There's been investment vehicles such as the exchange-traded fund products that have arose out there to take a lot of that metal off of the market and play into the supply and demand story as far as an investment demand track for silver. So I think that we've seen quite a bit of interest there.
Now, something else that we've seen with gold is people who were not traditionally invested in the metal. As we started to see it rise, we saw a lot of them piling in. Has that happened to some degree with silver as well?
Sure. I mean, silver has tracked gold quite well, as well as the precious metals complex and the overall commodities scheme here. And what we've seen is that silver prices have risen further than gold.
But I guess I mean in terms of who's investing, in terms of who's getting into it.
More generalist funds come into the market. We've seen more investors that are coming in through the exchange-traded products that were launched in 2006 that allowed them to go ahead and take advantage of the upside of the marketplace.
What effect is the dollar strength or weakness having on silver this year? What are you seeing?
Well, sure. We've seen that because of the dollar's weakness, we've seen a lot of commodities across the board go higher. Yeah. And I think now we've seen a bit of a pullback in the last few days. Now, for silver particularly, what we're seeing is it going higher for reasons such as an increase in demand from flows through some of the products that have been out there in the face of the dollar.
And is that possibly why we saw silver futures for March delivery on the rise today? They were over $17, about $17.20. Does that tie into that as well?
Yes, I think that, I see as people close out their books to the end of the year, there's still a interest going into the new year where there's seasonality trends in place as the first few months of the year has been strong on a historical basis.
So what's going to happen next year? I mean, if you're looking at the dollar as one of the things that has been driving silver higher, and the outlook is for interest rates to go up potentially late in 2010, maybe taking the dollar with it, what is going to happen then to silver prices?
Sure. What we see is about a 15% rise in prices on an annual average basis at CPM Group. That's what we're forecasting as far as prices on the upside. Now, what can happen is potentially lead up to a spike in prices, but we'll see on a sustainable basis prices for silver to be higher in the face, regardless of where we see the dollar play out, because those fears and concerns are still in place by many investors, both institutions and individuals.
And because of those price fluctuations, are you seeing a lot of reallocation in silver?
As far as investors allocating more to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I think that one interesting thing to note is while prices have fluctuated, the demand for the silver has remained relatively constant, and this is reflected in the actual contracts that are out there, as well as in some of the investment vehicles, such as the exchange-traded products. There's 460 million ounces to date of silver backed by these products, and that's a large number when you look at it in relation to mine supply.
So you think that's why silver might be able to continue to rally even if the dollar is also rising next year?
I think investors remember that of what's transgressed in the last year and a half or so, and I think that they look at silver as a place to store their wealth and a place to continue to have a portfolio diversifier, whether they be an institutional investor looking to allocate 1 to 3% of their portfolio in commodities and thereby bringing up the prices along with it.
Well, I mean, I guess the question is, if the economy does recover relatively strongly, and if we start to see these other assets trade in that direction, wouldn't you then expect to see a pretty significant pullback in gold and silver for that matter?
Sure. I mean, those concerns are out there that the prices come off. In fact, if you look at it from a cost of production perspective, it's about $5.30 is what we calculate to be the cost of production for a miner to get this metal out of the ground. And so that's about 3 times their profit margins right now with the current the current silver price. So in fact, if you look at it from that perspective, you could be concerned that prices are going to get pulled back. But
so if those prices go higher, is there going to be a supply and demand issue?
Well, if prices go higher, you're going to see supply come and try to catch that demand. And supply is going to take quite some time. From secondary supply from scrap is what will come on in the first stage, and then later on you'll be able to have mine supply come on and meet that demand needs. But that's why we see if prices can go higher, you can see profit taking as well as new mining companies come on board, and good ways to be able to capture that through the mining companies who are on the lower cost of the curve.
Any strategies for silver investors going forward quickly?
Well, we're looking at about, for the next 5 years on a longer-term trend for prices to continue to go higher based on this relatively tight market and supply and demand. If one looks at being long, perhaps some of the equities that are related to primary silver producers with actual cash flow that have good management teams in lower side of the cost curve countries like Mexico and Peru, they may want to be long there, and there's some good mining companies to look at as well as, and in the interim, have enhanced returns by hedging that with some of the products like futures and options over the COMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange CME Group products, as well as for perhaps something like the New York Stock Exchange Life products that they have out there, and look to hedge that longer-term view because the price is volatile and we could see that pullback.
Adam Crown of CPM Group joining us here talking about silver. Adam, good to meet you. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Thank you.